Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, geeks, and nerds alike. It's this week's Monkey Nut Punch podcast with me, Gareth, and a man who tried to shit out his entire body weight last week through his anus, Keith.
Yeah, I bloody well knew you were going to go with something like that. Yeah, sorry, my fault for once. I might have eaten something that decided to have a disagreement. I'll tell you what. I had something that saw an early preview of Section 31, and decided to throw a.
Part of me was thinking about watching Section 31, and everyone just turned around and said, "This is a complete waste of your life." Which is the worst review you could give anything. That you'd waste your life watching this program.
I tell you what, right? How bad do you have to be when IGN gives you a 2? I mean,
IGN gives
bad?
Everything a 7.
Everything how bad? 7. Well, what was it that it gave a 4 to? It gave a 4 to the Lord of the Rings Gollum game.
Okay.
So how bad do you have to be to get a 2 off IGN?
Oh man, it's just. I think I listened to part of Disbrew's stuff before I went to bed last night and fell asleep listening to it. And he was just like, "What the fuck is this? This makes no sense." Yeah, there's like bad editing in it. It doesn't feel very Star Trek-y. It doesn't feel very spy-y. The only person that Sorry, I've just seen Biffus thing. Hang on a second. He's won the comments at the moment. It's something he's gonna have to. So just sorry for the podcast listeners. Keith's bathroom problems, Gareth. Thanks for boldly going where no one wants to go. You're winning at the moment, Biffa. You are winning at the moment. First in and with the best comment. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And the missus, I can see the missus now in the comments too. Yeah, no, it was terrible. Yeah, I have no idea what you're doing.
I haven't brought myself to watch that.
I was so tempted. I thought it'd make great podcast fuel.
Oh, it might do if we run out of something, we might watch it next week. But just for shits and giggles. But certainly I haven't done it yet.
I struggle so badly just to know who the fuck signed for that. Yeah, because what you call it? They said that, and good for her, Michelle Yao, whatever her name is, who's played Georgiou in it. She made about $12 million off of that, which is the production cost for Godzilla -1.
I know.
Now, part of me's like, kind of, it was shit. You got your money's worth out of it. She got her money's worth out of it. We didn't. And it's like, oh, do I give a round of applause to say, well done for getting paid for something that fucking bad? What's it? Not enough gold press platinum in the quadrant to persuade me to watch Section 31 again. You watched it once. The CIA used Section 31 to torture people.
He said he survived Section 31 and Skeleton Crew. I still maintain that I quite enjoyed Skeleton Crew for what it was.
I maintain that I can't be bothered to watch it.
Yeah, I get it.
It's Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Disney's fault. One and truly Disney's fault for creating so much apathy in Star Wars. But I tell you what, because What's Its Face takes over from Bad Robot in a couple of weeks' time. If the first thing they do is not to fire Kurtzman, then they're screwed. I mean, seriously. I go back to this. IGN gave it a 2. IGN.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Just before we start, let's give Chuck a quick hello. Hi, Chuck.
To put this into perspective, IGN would have given my creation last Sunday in the bathroom more of a score than 2. So, how, and excuse the pun, shit do you have to be?
I'll be honest with you. I could probably put some kind of cinematographical masterpiece together, explaining how you got the shits. Yeah. and I could do it, and I could make it seem dramatic and everything. The first opening shot would be the toilet door, just lit round the outside, yeah, from a distance, slowly zooming in, and then you hear and you go, "Ah! Ah!" on the toilet, yeah. And I bet you more people will appreciate that and it'd score high with IGN than Section 31.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
My brain has put the whole thing together. Yeah, it has put the whole thing together. Yeah, it's got dramatic music for when the person doesn't wash their hands and they're preparing your food, because naturally it wouldn't have been you who poisoned yourself; it's someone else who's poisoned you. Yeah, yeah. So naturally you'd have that, and then you'd watch it, and then there'd be an audio stinger to indicate that you've eaten it and it's taken in. Yeah, and then there's the never trust a fart bit as the build up. You have that fart, and you're like, oh. Yeah, so you've got that kind of tension. I'm actually more excited by that than Section 31. It doesn't even exist. Oh, what's before said that? Imagine the Wrath of Khan, the radiation room. When I think of Keith in the toilet, there's me at the toilet door. Put my hand up there. And it's like, it's everybody's safe.
Keep it.
Everybody's safe. I'm sorry. I got a mad thought in my head. Anyway,
I freely admit that would probably get a better review on IGN. So I mean, yeah. I did watch the Night Agent season 2. Was not as good as season 1.
That's the one with Middleton, Tom, Night Agent. Oh.
No, that's the Night Manager. So like Netflix had like this huge hit with he. The first season was really good. It was like a conspiracy thing, intelligence thing, and it came out at the same time as The Recruit, and both were quite good. Night Agent season 1 was quite good. Season 2, not as much, but it was still all right. And The Recruit season 2 is coming out this week.
I remember Night Agent now. Yeah, I remember. I saw the trailer, but I hadn't seen the thing. Okay, yeah, got it. It's the way the guy's on the phone, and this random woman phones up, and she asks for his help, and he goes, "Yep, sure, that's what we're here for." Blah blah blah, and then action ensues. Okay,
conspiracy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh no! I have seen the trailer. That doesn't count though.
Season 1 was quite good. Season 2, it was okay. I mean, it started off in Thailand, and it was genuinely filmed here, because I recognised the locations. But it wasn't as good as season 1, but it set up a season 3, which it's already been given. So and apparently it's already been shot, which will be nice. So yeah, it was something that started on Apple TV this week that has potential. Another sort of conspiracy theory, but it's with maths and it's set in Cambridge University, and it's basically a guy working with prime numbers.
Don't tell me the 12th teen was removed from the numeric system.
No, because I mean, all right, it's had 2 episodes, right? And the first episode kind of follows him, and the second episode then follows this like CIA girl that's watching these universities to see if they develop anything that could be considered dangerous, which, by the way, they think is actually happening, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is.
They've always done that. They've done that since the Second World War. It's always been a thing.
So he's doing some off-the-books thing with prime numbers, and obviously his research is dangerous. His college professor ups and kills himself at the end of it, and then episode 2. Anyway, it's quite good. It's watchable, and it's something on Apple TV that it's quite watchable again.
Okay, well, we got Severance to talk about later, and The Last of Silo, which was good. Annoying because the rest of it wasn't as good. We were going to talk about The Last Action Hero, but Muggins here skipped it because I thought he was going to watch it last week and watch Die Hard with a Vengeance instead. So we're going to do Last Action Hero next week. I also watched the 3rd season of From, which we can talk about if we've got time towards the end. That's only if we've got time towards the end. So let's start off with our first news story. That's something for Alex Kurtzman.
You're a cunt.
And I hope he heard that. Christopher Columbus, the director of the first two Harry Potter films, has expressed strong support for HBO's upcoming television adaptation of the series. He believes the format of a TV series offers a unique opportunity to delve deeper into J.K. Rowling's rich narrative, reflecting on limitations faced during the original film's production. Columbus noted that the extended format allows for the inclusion of scenes and details that were previously omitted due to time constraints. Additionally, Columbus addressed fans discussing regarding the potential casting choices of the series. When asked about the idea of Cillian Murphy portraying Lord Voldemort, he responded, stating that Murphy is one of my favourite actors and that would be so amazing. The upcoming HBO series aims to provide a more comprehensive adaptation of the Harry Potter books, in which the season is dedicated to one of the 7 novels. This approach is anticipated to offer fans a more in-depth exploration of beloved storylines and characters. So Chris Columbus has gone, yeah, it's fine. It's going to be fine. Of course he's going to say it's going to be fine. He needs to say it's going to be fine. It's he's probably got a consulting gig on it or something, just even if it's just for the production bits. Or he's got a production company in there or a friend in there. So we've got that there. Noted Cillian Murphy in the casting and not the guy who's set to play the sallow, pale-faced Severus Snape.
Cillian Murphy is one of the fan choices to play Voldemort.
It would work. It would work. I can see that.
The thing I find curious, right, is all news has gone quiet on this since that Severus Snape announcement, and regardless of whether, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they've had a huge backlash. They've gone, oh shit, we've had an inauguration, and I'm not going into the politics, but there is definitely a tidal change. And I think they've gone, oh shit, right? And realised that they can't do that and people will watch. I mean, they are going to have to spend a shitload of money on this. And, you know, people have just turned around and go, I'm not going to bother watching it really if that's what they're going to do, because they said they were going to be faithful to the books. That means casting faithfully. Means casting faithfully. This whole DUI bullshit has backfired on them, and that's why it's gone quiet. Now, if they go for it, I don't think Cillian Murphy will sign up personally.
No, I don't think. I'm going to be honest with you. When I talk to the missus about this, she kind of prefers the idea of like fresh-faced actors that we haven't seen before. And I get it. It makes perfect sense. It kind of, if you know that someone's played some character in some other film, blah, 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 you know, the Scarecrow in Batman or, you know, these other things. Jared Harris as Dumbledore, it would be a good choice, but he said he's not interested. So I think maybe picking fresh-faced actors, because there are a lot of, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of actors out there that they've probably been acting for years, but never got good gigs, if that makes any sense. So there's, especially here in the UK, we're fucking falling over them. Seriously, background extras are fucking Shakespearean trained in this country, which is mad.
I totally agree with you, because I did not agree with who they had lined up for McGonagall. She's too young. But what's his face? The first guy that was, you know, was the first name that was baited around. What's his face? Comedian actor. That was baited around for Dumbledore. I did like. What was his name? The one that you say is a comedian actor. The one was in Dunkirk. Yeah.
Oh God, I remember. I can picture his name, but he's such a comedian. I can't remember who he is.
But
he's just characters. Yeah,
he would have been good as Dumbledore, but I actually agree with your much fairer half. Fresh faces, because there are the one thing the Potter movies did so well was casting for the most part, and you know, I just don't think there is another known actor or actress that could replace Maggie Smith as McGonagall. And so, therefore, an unknown would work for me. I still think Adam Driver as Snape would have worked, but I can also understand why you might want why the fact you probably wouldn't sign up to that because it'd be moving to England for 10 years. But I would like. So I think fresh faces is probably a good idea.
There's a benefit in it. There's a real benefit in it, and it would help everything. And I think that they need to take the temperature of the room, and understand, because at the moment you pushed out matey, and I purposely think that was testing the waters to see if they could get away with it. And I think the answer they got was no. The question is, are they going to listen to that answer? Because if they listen to the answer, I think this is going to be fine. It's one of these things where if they get it right, it'll be the biggest fucking TV show, full stop. Really, seriously, it'll be huge, bigger than Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because everybody likes it. Harry Potter is the current generation's Star Wars, what it was to our generation, if that makes any sense.
They still think, right, and this is what really winds me up, okay? They still think because of J.K. Rowling, right, that people are not going to watch it, so they have to interject all this bullshit into it. That's bullshit. You just have to look at Hogwarts Legacy. They tried to boycott that game. It was one of the best-selling games of that year, right?
Yeah.
Look, it doesn't matter. It's a few people on the internet with very loud voices, and they've had their day. Right, whatever you think of the situation in the US, and I am not going to get into it. There is a tidal change, right? There is a tidal change, and Hollywood are realizing it. And now is the time to just start entertaining people again. Now is the time to tell stories, to tell what you used to be good at. Stop filling it with a crap. Just tell stories. You do these Potter books right. Cast the people that look like the parts in it, right? You can fill the classroom with you can interject children in there. You can put a few new characters in there. TV does that all the time. We could have a few more classmates. The one thing I always argue about Harry Potter's books is his classes felt quite small, right? Because there weren't always the classes mentioned. So you could interject more diversity that way. But what you don't do is race cast, swap races on main characters for the point of it. It's bullshit, and people have had enough.
It's like in the films, Lee Jordan, who was the announcer, Lee Jordan, who's the announcer for the Quidditch games. He did the radio in Deathly Hallows, and that was cut out because it could have just been Lee Jordan doing that. And then there's a bit where Lee Jordan leaves because he's finished school and gets replaced with Luna Lovegood, and she's shit, and it's hilarious. Yeah. And so, they've got the ball. Well done, you. It's really kind of passive in comparison to Lee Jordan's proper. Yeah.
I know what Columbus is talking about because I saw him interviewed even recently. He still regrets having to cut out Rick Mail as Peeves. Oh God, I would have loved to have seen that. Rick Mail would have been absolutely fucking perfect as Peeves.
I've watched the extended versions of Chamber of Secrets and thingy because it was coming up for Christmas, and the missus had literally just gone through the whole Harry Potter thing 3 times, and I went, we should really buy these so you can watch it and then work out where the extra bits are. And the extra bits are in there, and it's fine. The problem is that it's a film, and it'd be way too long to put all the stuff that you've got in a book. So a television series, perfect. The question is, are they going to fuck it up? That's a question that we always ask when it comes to these things. So, for example, Russell T Davies comes back to Doctor Who. Is he going to fuck it up? Yes, he did. He did it colossally, yeah? He did it like a fucking chili enema, right? Sorry to go back to that. Did it like a chili enema. It was terrible. I have no idea why he did what he did. Yeah, and I know that everyone bitched and moaned at the Christmas special, but Stephen Moffat didn't have very long to write that thing. Yeah, and I got a feeling it was 2 stories, and he just had to just mash them together ham-handedly. So Yeah, and if Stephen Moffat came back for Doctor Who, it would be terrible too. Star Trek, that's another example. Alex Kurtzman, Star Trek Discovery. We got a brief shimmering light with, what's his mush? Who was the guy? who did Picard season
Terry
3.
Matalas with Picard
Terry
season
Matalas
3.
got a shining light with that, yeah, and that was good. And then Star Wars, fuck me, have I never cared about anything so thick, so less. And then Marvel have got Captain America, New World Order, or new whatever it is, yeah.
I'll make it.
And that's gonna be shit.
Well, I'll talk about that in a sec. Because there is a news story that I forgot to put in. I'll make a prediction now for Star Trek. Strange New Worlds season 3. The rumor is there's meant to be a season 4. I know I said this after season 2, but I think there's apathy now with season 2 because it was all over the place of Strange New Worlds, and Klingon boy bands didn't work. There are still fans of Strange New Worlds out there. I think there will be less by the end of this season. Academy is going to bomb because it's Kurtzman's baby, and Section 31 was meant to be. And if it is the continuation on from Discovery, then it's going to bomb, right? The amount of people that came out when they kind of decanonized Discovery, right, showed how many Star Trek fans out there were joyful. I think Skydance are going to pay off Kurtzman because, again, IGN gave it a 2. And I think that's significant. I keep saying it because I think it's significant, and this is what I mean by a tidal change. Because IGN, the wokest of the woke, gave one of the wokest movies out there a 2. It's significant.
The question is if people in the regular Hollywood presses are talking about it, because if they are talking about it, then there's issues.
It's been panned. It's been panned. But with the Harry Potter, they're right. There's so much that you could do. You have literally got a license here to print money. All you have to do is cast it right, and don't fill it with politics. So all you have to do. They are 2 very, very simple things. You have got enough in the way of source material to put that on screen, and people will watch it. Ignore what they're saying. No, I don't think it's time for it. The minute this series comes out, right, you cast it well, you don't fill it with politics, and you do decent casting, right, proper casting, make the characters look like we expect them to look. Bump, biggest TV series in the world. Everybody will sign up to your Max around the world. You know, you'll have a license to re-syndicate it to the networks where you're not operating. Biggest TV series in the world. 4 fucking 7 seasons. End of. This is simple. You are here right now. You can only go down. Just don't fuck it up. It's not difficult.
True. All right. Because you brought up Star Trek. In January 2025, it was announced that screenwriter George Nolfi, I think that's how you pronounce his name, has been enlisted to write the screenplay for the upcoming Star Wars film directed by everybody's favourite Charmin Oboy-Chinoy. The film is set to feature Daisy Ridley. I like Daisy Ridley, but I don't fucking like Rey. To reprise her role as Rey, focusing on her efforts to rebuild the Jedi Order approximately 15 years after the events of Rise of Skywalker. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants this.
Not going to happen. It's testing the water. Not going to happen. All this is the story putting out there to see how people react. And, again, your reaction to the Skeleton Crew, don't care. Fine. Why would you? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
This film is not going to happen. And if it is, more evidence that Kathleen Kennedy should be fired. Because everybody is saying they don't want this.
I think she should be. I don't sound awful, but I think she should retire, given her age. That'd be the best way to leave it, rather than fire her. Say, please take retirement. For the love of fucking God, we'll pay you extra. George,
she's not going to get a hit. They need to fire.
I know. George Nolfi's involvement. He did the Adjustment Bureau and the Bourne Ultimatum, which means he's a qualified writer. The downside is he's not a qualified sci-fi writer, because I can't see any. I have to go. I'll go and check his bit on IMDb. But it's. I'm gonna just see if he's written anything sci-fi, because the closest he's got is the Adjustment Bureau, but it's not like proper
was quite a good
genre
film.
stuff. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but it was quite a good film. But that was more basic. I mean, the Adjustment Bureau, they were angels. It was a take on religion, or anti-religion. If you read into what the messages of the film were saying, it was a good film, and the Bourne Ultimatum was a good film. But this is not going to be a good film. Yeah, it won't happen. It won't happen. I mean,
Okay, so did you ever watch Spectral on Netflix? It was
yes,
2016. Fucking hell, that's long. That's almost 10 years ago.
yes,
I liked
we reviewed
Spectral,
it.
but that's the only other sci-fi thing apart from the Adjustment Bureau that he's got. But Adjustment Bureau is not really sci-fi or supernatural. So I can he write something? Yeah. Will he write something good? Probably not. Will people care about it? Definitely not.
Here's the thing, right? Despite what some people inside Lucas have said about Ray being their most, valuable,
Bankable character.
but bankable character, they should be fired on the thing. No,
I
she's
think
not.
I think they misheard. Not bankable.
Yeah. I got where you're going.
Yeah,
and no.
I was playing up for people listening.
No, Leia in the slave costume will.
Yeah, I know,
always
but
be
everyone
my-
wants an update every so often. I'll be frank with
Nah.
you. New boobies always. We always like new boobies.
She ain't got
It's a
it.
thing. See, okay, I'll give you that. I won't give her that though.
But I mean, if they do a continuation on after episode 9, it's just going to remind everybody that the Emperor came back without any kind of explanation, right? And it's just going to remind how terrible that film was.
Somehow the Emperor came back. I really think what they should have done with that is shouldn't have been the Emperor. They should have made out that he was Darth Plagueis, yeah? And the Emperor was a clone of him. That would have made fucking far more sense. And he trapped him on the planet so he couldn't escape. That would have made more sense. And you could have maybe got a bit clever with the makeup and stuff. But he goes, strike me down and I'll fucking take you over. So she strikes him down. Guys, you're lost.
Episode 9 was atrocious. Look, 7, 8, and 9, atrocious. I mean, objectively atrocious, right? The only good one that they've done is Rogue One. Season 1 and 2 of the Mandalorian were okay, but as you say, spectacularly average. Season 3 was a fucking shit show, as was Boba Fett. Obi-Wan was a shit show. Andor.
Yeah, I was gonna say I felt so sorry for Tamara Morrison because you hear him talk about it, and he was like, "I don't agree with this. I really don't agree with this."
Yeah, Andor, because of its connection to Rogue One, was okay. I know that it's not for everyone, and I respect that, but it was competently made.
Yeah, it was competently made. It was adult Star Wars. That's the problem with it. Adult Star Wars.
I think the Skeleton Crew show was a good kids show, good family show. I don't think a lot of people watched it because of the Acolyte, and I think some people might not have enjoyed it because it's a kids show, and I understand that. I thought it was good for what it was.
I forgot the Acolyte existed for a moment. You know that. We go through all the stuff, and my brain didn't register the Acolyte.
But like right now, there is apathy for Star Wars, and you want to do a Rey movie. How incompetent are you? I mean, look, I'm done with being, there's going to be people out there that, negativity on that. I don't care. How fucking incompetent are you, Lucasfilm? If you think that film's going to do well, I'm going to tell you now, it's not. There's going to come a time when you're going to stop calling all these people on the internet hateful, negative people and start listening to them. It's not going to do well. It's so fucking obvious. Look, leave that Californian bubble, which you're going to have to do now anyway because most of it's burnt down. Right, and come and live in the real world, right, and see it for what it is, and then you'll know that Rey won't do very well because it's not. It will not do very well. You need to do something different.
it's all right. So Biffo said something. We'll address the comments when we get to the comments part of it. But it's so dead. You need to. It sounds awful. You need to clear house. Seriously, clear a fucking house. Get a nice small group of people together, proper creatives. You know what I would like to see? Because one of the stories is here. I'd like to see, because someone went through Denis Villeneuve's Sicario and they reviewed the way he directed it on the bridge. And this guy, as a director, when a guy pointed it all out to me, I went, this is fucking brilliant. He's actually telling a story with a camera, yeah? He would be one of the top people on my list to direct a film. And given the fact that he's had experience with Dune, special effects wise, he is top of the list at the moment. If I said direct it, the next question is who would I get to bloody write the thing? Yeah, because the question is because if George has given you guys other treatments for other stories, I would get hold of one of them and then sit down with Denis Villeneuve and then get him to put it together and then give it to George and get George to go 2 thumbs up. Yeah, the man from Del Monte, he say yes, and then we can go forward with it. But I don't care. I really don't. I didn't care. What was it like? December 2023 when I figured out that it was that. I would like Quentin Tarantino to direct it, but if I had a choice between Denis Villeneuve and Quentin Tarantino, I would pick Denis Villeneuve because it would be fucking spectacular, and I mean spectacular. You know it would be. Quentin Tarantino would be really fucking entertaining, but I feel that he would struggle with being put in a bit of a straitjacket a bit.
If they had the bollocks, if they had the balls, right, all they have to do is say 7, 8, and 9 are no longer canon, right?
Yeah.
That's all they have to do, right? We're sadly not going to get a 7, 8, and 9, but you could then take George's treatments, right, and you could convert those, right? You can't call them 7, 8, and 9, but because the Skywalker saga ended with Episode 6, right, and then we go into because the Mandalorian can exist because he never really mentioned the New Order. It's just been alongside what's currently there. You've got Filoni's Ahsoka series, which again, wasn't that great, but it can exist still in the world. So the only thing that you have to do is get rid of 7, 8, and 9, right? Say we're going to do something with Lucas's treatments. Can't call it 7, 8, and 9. We can't have the Skywalkers in it, so we're going to change it a bit, but we could do something with it. $1 million Star Wars movie. What $1 billion? I mean, why are these
$1 million? They need more than that.
Yeah, $1 billion. Stop spending so much goddamn money on things. Because this is the thing I forgot to say, right? Marvel announced the budget for Captain America. 180 million, Gareth.
180 million.
Yeah, but unfortunately, right, there's a little law in Britain where you have to actually not lie about how much money that you spend on it. Do you want to know how much Doctor Strange and what's his face cost? The true budget?
So the Doctor Strange 2 something. Under maybe so 2 something. What's the other one? Ant-Man. You're going to say
Ant-Man Quantumania.
I want to say Ant-Man costs less than Doctor Strange, but I'm going to feel it costs more than Doctor Strange.
Ant-Man cost 450 million.
The fuck.
And it's reported that Doctor Strange's true budget was 380. Because what they can do in America, which they don't have to in the UK, right, is they can lie about it. So Captain America's, because they reshot the entire film, right, those reshoots, which consist of the new movie, cost 180 million, right? You can guarantee they spent 250 plus on the original Captain America movie that didn't do very well, and then they had to go remake the entire film and rename it, because let's not forget it was meant to be the New Order or whatever, and that's not what they're calling it now. So yeah, again, this is what Disney do. Stop spending stupid fun. They lie to their shareholders. But unfortunately, because they've shot some of these movies in England, You can't lie.
Yeah, not to
450.
never to the Inland Revenue Service. They will not.
I'm sorry, but if I was a
accept
significant shareholder in Disney, I'd be like right now going, what the actual fuck? Who is running Disney? Who is running Marvel Studios? Who is running Lucasfilm? Fucking Californian morons. Time to move your studios out of that bubble.
That's fine. I think that I think if they've survived, they probably will get moved out of that bubble. But God, did you see that? Right, just a quick aside. Did you see the thing that the fire chief put out in 2019 about hiring diverse people? Where she said about if you're a man and you're in a burning building, well, that's your fault.
Actually, I think the fire chief is the one person that's actually done quite well. But yeah, she's got views.
Oh, dude, that view's a sackable offence in my thing, because your job is to get those people out of that building. A correct response would be, not everyone can do it, but we will send in the people who can do it, and then we'll make sure that we've always got someone that can do it.
We'll talk off air, because if there's a news conference that you've got to see. But we'll talk about it off air, because I don't want to get political on there. But there's a news conference you've got to see. It's brilliant.
Okay.
I was
all right. Let's move on to our
anyway,
next one, shall we?
I need about 350.
350.
Goddamn Loch Ness monster. Actor Josh Brolin has expressed his disappointment over Denis Villeneuve's omission from the Best Directors category in the 2025 Academy Awards for Dune Part 2. In an Instagram story, Brolin congratulated the film team on their nomination in categories such as Best Picture, Best Cinematography, but highlighted Villeneuve's absence, stating, apparently I'm going to quit acting because Denis Villeneuve did not get nominated. This is just how things work. It makes no sense to me. I completely agree with that. This sentiment echoes Brolin's earlier remarks from November 2024 in an interview where he emphasized that the director's deservingness of recognition, asserting if Villeneuve was not nominated for the sequel, he would consider quitting acting. He praised Dune Part 2 for its superior to its predecessors, describing it as masterful and lauding Villeneuve as one of our master filmmakers. And he's probably right. The 2025 Oscar nominations have sparked discussions, notably around the omission, of Villeneuve's absence being a significant point of contention, despite Dune Part 2 receiving multiple nominations, including Best Picture. The lack of a Best Director nod for Villeneuve is, I hate saying that bloody name, has been a focal point in critiques of the Academy's choice. No one cares about the Oscars. Sorry, Joss. I agree with you, but no one cares about the Oscars.
Well,
I agree with him. I'll be honest with you. When we think of filmmakers, the first one that comes to mind is probably Chris Nolan. Yeah. Chris Nolan's doing a film, fantastic. After Dune and watching the bits in Sicario, I think number 2 on that list is Mr. Villeneuve, if I can say his name right. Yeah, and I think it's just bullshit. It is all bullshit. I think what he should do is he should wait until Will Smith gets up on stage. They should purposely invite him and go up there and slap him, and then say, "That's for not giving me a director nod," and then walk out the auditorium, because that will get some views.
I'm just seeing, I mean, he absolutely should have a Best Director nod. But I'll tell you what, if it is not on cinematography, yeah, it is on cinematography.
Yeah, they got.
I was going to say, if it is not on Best Cinematography, I will literally lose my shit over that. But it is on Best Picture. But no, he deserves an Oscar nod. Right. I mean, yes, okay, I agree with you that, it's unfortunate the Academy Award offices, survived. And I think they should be burnt down. He should have a best nod. Denis Villeneuve is a director that we should talk about. No, okay, he's not Chris Nolan, but then, having done the Chris Nolan movies, actually, I say this again, Denis Villeneuve should be talked about, because I think he deserves. He belongs in the same room as Nolan. He belongs in the same room as Nolan.
He's definitely in the same fucking league. There's no two ways about that.
And Dune 2, you could say what you like about the story, right? And I do not like the ending of Dune 2. I think there was some diversity bullshit in there, woke bullshit in there with it. But as a movie, as a film, as a piece of cinema, I have not seen something like that in a very long time. I haven't seen something on cinema that's made me go, whoa. I think since Lord of the Rings. I mean, really taken my breath, and I'm not being dramatic here. Something that literally took my breath. And it's that fucking bit where the Sardaukar are running from, towards the Fremen, and then those fucking sandworms come out, right? And you just see the Sardaukar just shit themselves. And when you watch that on a large screen, it is incredibly cinematic. It's incredibly well done, and it took my breath. And I just that is it. They don't make films like Dune 2 that much anymore, and we should. Because that's what cinema was created for. That's why I like Nolan, because he knows how to do cinematography.
I was going to say there's
even
some
in
bits
his worst film.
I was going to say in Inception, there's a few bits that make me go wow. And it's,
I get it, yeah, but it's not. I mean, there are things in Batman Begins. There are things in all of Nolan's films that make me go. It was just that scene in Dune was a, and I think the last time I did something like that was probably like Lord of the Rings. But don't get me wrong, Nolan knows how to do cinematography. The guy really does, and the boat going backwards in Tenet, and this just scenes. He knows how to do. He likes the IMAX cameras, and he can use those incredibly well. But Villeneuve knows as well, and he should absolutely have a fucking nod for the best director. It's not going to win best picture. It should fucking win best cinematography. What's it in with?
I think it's in for cinematography.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. The Brutalist I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of those. I've heard that Nosferatu does have some really quite incredible scenes. You haven't watched that yet, have you?
No, I meant to, and I missed it. So I wasn't feeling well. I'm coughing and spluttering. I didn't think anyone would want to sit next to me in the cinema coughing and spluttering. I didn't think I'd enjoy myself sitting in the cinema coughing and spluttering.
You're right that no one really gives a shit. I mean, the Oscars haven't, but they are still sort of like, I mean, the Oscars haven't really hit the news since Will Smith.
Chris Rock's comeback for that was great.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember what he was on someone else's. He was at someone else's like stand-up special, and they got attacked, and he made a comment about that, and it was just fucking hilarious. I can't remember what it was. It was really annoying.
What's his face? Did SNL? Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's monologue on SNL. And he did go down the LA fires route. He goes, "What? I'm not going to do anything on the on the LA fires." And he just looks at the camera and goes, "Yeah." And then he was brutal, and it was brilliant.
I think I had the end part of that, which I thought was quite a positive message, considering that politically people might be a little divided.
He said that he's fed up of being controversial. He did say that. And he said, look, life's good. I've done my Netflix commitments, and I wasn't going to do this. And then, he said the LA fires happened. Here I am! And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And it was. And I don't know how they got away with broadcasting that, because it was Dave Chappelle. And generally had me laughing, which is rare with SNL. I really don't find it very funny.
The only thing I find funny is the two guys who write each other's scripts.
They are funny.
They're the only bit I find really funny, because they've tried to fuck each other up. It's great. It's absolutely brilliant to watch them trying to screw each other over. It gives me such a smile on my face.
I thought the Beavis and Butthead sketch was hilarious. That was funny. but only because they couldn't keep a fucking straight face. That's what made it more funny. Like, they fucked it up because they couldn't keep a straight face. And that's what made it more funny for me.
Oh, there was one. I have to send you some because there was one they were talking about AI generated images, and it was like, he's been, you're getting really fucked over there, aren't you? And I was like, when he read it too. That guy's going out with Scarlett Johansson.
He's married to her.
Yeah,
that's his wife. Yes, and yes, he did write some pretty fucking. Oh yeah, I saw the one just before Christmas. God, that was good. Anyway, so yes, Oscars. Fuck them.
Crap. Don't worry. Stay. Come work with me, Josh. It'll be quite entertaining. Working in my industry rather than the acting industry, doing my presentations. And on that note, let's move on to our next story. This one.
Well.
In a recent interview with Radio Times, Craig Charles, who portrays Dave Lister, in the iconic sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf, discussed the show's future and the decision to avoid a definite finale. Charles emphasised that the creators always intended to keep the series open-ended, stating, "We always said that we'd never do a last episode." He expressed concerns for the final episode that often leads to disappointing, adding, "Final episodes are generally shite and leave people with a sense of disappointment and anticlimax." Instead, the team prefers to conclude the series organically without a formal ending. Reflecting on the show's legacy, Charles remarked, "If we are at the end, it's been great fun. If we have our last to write, then that will be great fun." And you know what? Yeah, I think ironically, we would like an ending, but you don't always get them.
The thing is, right?
I was going to say certain shows manage to end things well. So Ashes to Ashes, they did a fantastic ending. Lost did a shit ending. Babylon 5 did a great ending. Deep Space Nine did an okay ending. Voyager did a good ending. Star Trek Next Generations did a good ending. But yeah.
I mean, you say those shows ended well. They kind of did, but they were not. They would never be on my list of like the really great endings. And I don't think Red Dwarf should have a final episode. It should just, they should still be out there. They are trying to make more Red Dwarf, but they reckon it's too expensive to do the scripts that they've got, which means that they might not come back. But I'm hoping that they find the money from somewhere.
Crowdfund it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
I'd chip in some money.
Crowdfund it and find a streaming service to do it. Because Red Dwarf. But I agree with them. But I mean, the one that always comes to mind that had this great ending that they then fucked up, right? And whilst they brought it back and there were funny moments, they ruined what was the most perfect ending, and that's Only Fools and Horses. Only Fools and Horses had that perfect ending in 1996. I mean, they literally rode into the sunset. It was a perfect ending, and then they brought it back. And whilst there were some brilliant moments when they brought it back, Buster Edwards had already died, so we couldn't have Uncle Albert, and it just didn't work. And whilst I'd like to see more Red Dwarf, they are all getting on a bit, but I don't think Red Dwarf is one of those series that should ever have an ending. It should still go on. So I agree with them. It shouldn't have an ending. I like the fact that we still think Cat, Lister, the boys from the Dwarf are still out there. I love it.
Red Dwarf is a fantastic series. I got a friend who lives in New York. He's a big stupid gamer. So he doesn't tend to watch his live. He watches them after because he worries that he's a bit too disruptive in the comments.
No, come. If you're watching this not live, come back. I enjoy your comments. They make me laugh. Come back.
Okay, yeah, because he's made a few things about you. He asked where we were last week, and I was like, Keith was crapping himself to death.
Come back. Look, I take the piss, right? I'll say this to you now. I'm the type of person that takes the piss. If I'm taking the piss out of you, I like you, right? So if you're taking the piss out of me, it says that you like me. So please come back, take the piss. I'm inviting you. It's an open invitation.
Anyway, with the open invitation, with that open invitation, I'm going to regret that.
I know.
He's going to come back with some corkers.
I know, but I love it.
You haven't heard me on his streams diss you and Nigel.
Oh, I can probably guess what you're doing.
Oh,
look, here's the thing. Yeah, yes, but I've said the same things. We take the piss out of each other. That's how we know we love each other.
Yeah.
If it was like, "Oh, hello, old chap, how you doing?" It was like, "What's wrong? Why's he being nice to me?"
It's like, I don't trust this.
Oh, dear.
So,
Anyway.
so we love Red Dwarf. I want to see more. I'd like to see more of it. Get sort some funding out. Just crowdfund it if you have to. I'm sure we can do something. And on that note, I think it's time we went to the comments. The annoying thing, I did a good chunk of the comments before. So let's go up. Biff has been really active. Where are we? I think this was the last comment we made. Imagine the Wrath of Khan in the radiation room, but think of Keith on the toilet, dying. Chuck found it funny that I was laughing so hard. He had to step back, apparently. Barry Cohen. He's the guy with the really shit haircut in Game of Thrones, isn't he? And he was in the Eternals, if I remember correctly. And I imagine that was for one of the Barry Potter. Fucking Barry Potter. We all love Barry Potter. Harry Potter comments that we were making. Yeah. And then we got Section 31 felt like Suicide Squad in space, but without the charisma and without the engagement and without the fun. And it got 2. And then we've got The Acolyte taught me as a die-hard Star Wars fan that I don't need to even like everything Star Wars related, which is true. Killing Snoke ruined the sequels. Yes. There was a trilogy, and you ended the trilogy at the end of film 2. It's just, and they let them. That's the thing, and they let them do it. Yeah. What you could have done, as I said before, what you could have done is, I think I've said this in the previous podcast, is you could have started off the next film, and you've got a big cloning vat, yeah, and it's Snoke in the cloning vat, and it drains out, and he pops out the cloning vat, and he pulls a load of things off of me. He goes, I'm gonna get that bastard Kylo Ren, or something along those lines, yeah? That would have made you go, oh, actually, maybe Snoke's a bit fucking harder to kill than we thought, and now we have to go around and get all these fucking cloning facilities, because if he dies, he just copies himself into a new clone body, and... Yeah? Snoke was supposed to be the next Voldemort. Yeah, I think JJ, even though I don't like the dick shit, was setting him up for that. And then we got this comment. How can you forget the power of one, the power of two, the power of many? Quite easily, because it was crap. And now I think about it, I'm thinking, God, that's actually taking up space in my brain unnecessarily. I suggest you forget it too.
Delete.
Drugs or therapy, one of the two will get rid of that. Quentin Tarantino to direct a Star Wars film, I get ya. I don't think he will. I think he's got something in mind that he wants to do for him where he has complete control over. The question is, what will his last film be? Because he says his next film's his last one, and then he's retiring, which is fair enough. Doesn't mean he can't consult on things, doesn't mean he can't do other things, but he will disappear from that. Oscar nominations. This is Biff is just dominating the comments at the moment, sorry. Oscar nominations 2025, Emily Perlis with 13 nominations, and Dune 2 with only 5 nominations. Yeah. And then we got...
I mean, 5 nominations is okay, although it should have a Best Director's nod. It is a sci-fi film, right? But it deserves some nods.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just seen your next comment. Yeah. I don't know if Chuck is still watching. I just want to say one because I know Chuck was in the comments earlier. Laurie's birthday today, so happy birthday, Laurie.
Oh,
not bad for 21.
Happy birthday, Laurie. Okay, I watched the first part of the bloody. I've just realised I haven't finished watching their bear video. I think I watched it, and I just got to the bit where they're landing and they're walking to wherever the destination is that they need to find the bears. I need to finish watching that bear video that they got the nomination for because that's great. Biffer again. Diddy and Luigi are the happiest people that everybody's focusing on the LA fires. Oh, so who's Luigi? Is it Mario and Luigi?
No, it's another one going on with the thingy, but he's talking about Diddy as well here. It's probably right. Oh right. Thank you to everybody in the comments. What are we going to talk about?
Got a trailer.
We have.
And the trailer represents a form of hope that I hope will not be fucking dashed. I think that's the best way of describing it. It's the Daredevil trailer for Daredevil Bourne again.
But Gareth, this is being tightly reshot as well. You don't want to know what the budget was for this.
Oh, because the first set was shit and they cancelled it, which is a good sign. I'm going to hit play and fingers crossed.
Thank you for finding the time. I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
Now, I think that's a conversational audience thing, if that makes any sense. So, yeah.
A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come.
They didn't include them in the original, and they're back in it. And I'll be honest with you, you kind of need them in it. Yeah, because she's his love interest, and he has like a weird love triangle thing with her.
I'm going to say
kind
this.
Of interesting dynamic.
I'm going to say this right now. One of them's going to die, and it's going to be in the first episode. So don't, because he's given up. Watch the trailer. Watch the trailer. I'm making it on a trailer. Watch this. Carry on watching, and I'll tell you why.
Up in the world. I could say the same about you. The mayor serves his city. I can see you're not entirely convinced. Can you blame me? I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system. Why did you stop being a vigilante? The line was crossed. It's hard to
I reckon
with the violence.
he crossed the line because somebody killed one of his friends. That's why I'm saying that I think one of them's going to die. My own theory. I might be wrong. But what makes him cross the line?
I don't know. It's annoying because that Daredevil series, I really enjoyed all of it. I know people were like, "Oh, this series wasn't as good as this." And I enjoyed the whole fucking lot.
I still think the second was the best, but look, I get why you liked it, but the second was the best. The third, he wasn't in the costume. Like it just. That
bugged me, and the fact that Bullseye wasn't in his costume either kind of bugged me too. But the guy who played Bullseye was sufficiently threatening, which I really enjoyed. And the way that Wilson Fisk manipulated the whole PD to get what he wanted with the FBI was just brilliant, and it was so Kingpin. And the other thing is like the first season where they had the bit where he literally turns into the Kingpin in the back of that police van at the end. Do you remember that? He literally just turns around. He gives the speech about the what do you call it? The Good Samaritan. And he goes, "I always thought I was the Good Samaritan." Goes, "But I'm the people of ill repute." And then it's like everyone gets, and he just starts walking out, and it's like, "Oh, nice turn, heel turn, like in wrestling."
Nature. Hating the power it has over us. This city can't go unchecked. Sometimes peace needs to be broken. The chaos.
Just a quick one. Has he shagged fucking Wilson Fisk's wife?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm just going back here because it's like.
That's not
Or was
her,
it
though.
someone
That's
new?
not the original.
That's not her. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Because they got the original actress back. That's fine. Because part of me is like, if he did, not saying the Kingpin's justified in some of his things, but I would understand his anger quite clearly. Oh, shit. Sorry, I pressed a button. There you go.
Must reign. Mind putting the hatchet down?
See, John Bernthal said he wouldn't go back unless they kind of did the character justice. So there's a feeling that it might be good.
I was raised to believe in grace. But I was also raised to believe in retribution.
It definitely has potential. It definitely has, but they're going to kill off Foggy. I'm telling you, they're killing Foggy.
No, I don't know. I really don't know.
But look, if it serves the story, it could be good. So don't get that. But because you see her in the court there, and both of them weren't coming back, as you said. You see her in the court looking pretty sort of distraught. So I think it's going to be Foggy.
I think it's going to be Foggy too, because I don't want to sound rude or anything. Karen's still got a ton more storyline to go through in regards to her development as a character. So, yeah.
But I think, again, there is hope here. And it's got the Punisher in it. It could be good. It could be good. It could be good.
Hope it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see my movie trailer? Sci-fi about a woman. Sorry, Biffa, put this down. Did you see my movie trailer? A sci-fi movie about a woman using cryosleep to sleep for 4 years. Oh, I genuinely thought you actually put one together, and I was like, well, where? Send me the link. We'll watch it now.
Can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. We're not talking about that.
We will talk about stuff like that off air, but we won't talk about it live on air because it kind of puts people's backs up, and we don't really want to do that. What was I going to say? Oh, Biffa, thank you. You sent a link to the silly thing about California burning, which made me smile. I was having a really shit day at the time, and I really appreciated that. So thank you for that. While I remember, I need to do that. Silo or Severance? Keith, pick one.
Let's go with Severance first, and then we'll do Silent because I've got some notes on that.
All right, so Severance. So you didn't watch the first series, and I think you've caught up, if I remember correctly.
No, I binged it, right? Because you told me, because your brother said it was really good, and you went, it's really good, you should watch it. So I binged it.
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion that the only way to watch Severance is to binge it. Because episodes 1 and 2 of the second series, you need to binge it for it to work.
Yeah, it's so. Let's set out the premise for those people who are not sure what Severance is. Severance is a TV series about people who have been severed. Severed is having an implant which causes a partition in your brain. So your work stuff remains at work and your home stuff remains at home, and you cannot remember anything between the two. So, for example, if you were to be severed, you would go to work, but your experience would be you get in the lift and then you step out of the lift and go home. Yeah, but your work colleague, your work part, your innie, as they like to call it, would go into the office, do the work, step into the lift, and then go back out and do some more work. So they would just do that constantly. So there's this weird bisection, I want to call it, where the memory split into two. Now, my thing with it is it's a world where severance is offered to people as a, how can I put it, as a service of sorts. Yeah, so you can offer yourself to be severed, so that way, from your perspective, you never have to go to work. You go to work, but you never have to go to work. So you can come home. You don't have to take any of the baggage of work home. Don't have to work overtime, this, that, and the other. You just come back, enjoy your life, and you'll never have to worry about work. Yeah, that's how it's sold to people. Now the question is why would this service be offered? Yeah, and why would you need to be severed completely from the work that you're doing, and what work is being done to the point that it needs to be kept in that much level of secrecy? And they started hinting about it in the last episode. So that's the setup. We follow a guy called Mark S, or his name Mark Scout, and he's kind of the main character, and he works with 4 other colleagues in his thing. There was a scene in the recent episode where the fat guy was sitting next to some guy who looked like his twin. It disturbed me. My head was just having trouble because it clearly wasn't his twin, but it looked like his twin, and my brain's like, he's supposed to sound like this, and that kind of bothered me. And we know that there is a stigma to people who sever themselves from their work life, and part of it is like kind of, well, all that working experience that you have, you can't remember. So that would be a good excuse not to hire someone who's severed. It's like, you got no brain, unless we can activate that severed part of you. It's of no benefit to us because you've got no work experience. So it's interesting because at the end of the last series, they figured out how to switch the severance section of their brain off temporarily, and I think they did it for like 39 minutes. So they got to go out into the world. So Mark S found out that his wife that he thought was dead in the outside world exists on the inside world. Yeah, he saw that. I can't remember his name now. He was in bloody Transformers Section 9 lead person. I can't remember him. He found out that he's, what do you call it? He's an artist, and he looks like he lives alone, and his life might be a bit crap. And ironically, the work part might be the best bit of it. So he kind of looks at it saying, well, he's off having a decent life, and I'm having a shit life.
He's been followed. Did you see that bit? He's been followed by what's his face? No. Who played his boyfriend in the first one? What's his face?
Christopher Walken. I can't remember.
Christopher Walken is following him. Or his outie is following him. But I mean, the wife thing, right? In episode 2, he says, I saw her body. She was dead. What if she was? What if the project that they're doing is cloning? Because what are they doing with those numbers? It's got to be DNA or something.
Macro data analysis. So I don't think it might be necessarily cloning.
Well, it could be something more sci-fi-y. But what is it with the weird stylized, almost like 70s, 80s styled stuff on the inside, and the way Milkcheck rides around, even on the outside, where he's riding around on a very stylized motorbike and has very stylized fashion choices, yet it's set in the modern world. There is something weird. I still think it's designed to be binged. And this better not turn into Lost. There better be some fucking answers.
Yeah. So when it comes to this, one of the things that is maybe they're being used as processors. Yeah. And the world there is a bit Matrix-like, and they're using them as processors. That's why they can't. The work they do, it's like kind of do it on feeling, not on thingy. And there's a project that they need to be completed, but they don't exactly know what they're doing or how they're doing it. So my brain's like kind of, well, below your subconscious is like there's a processing layer that does all your, tells all the distance between your hands and stuff. John Searle, good cognitive, professor who talks about how consciousness works, and maybe they're all plugged in, yeah, and it's virtual what they're going through here, yeah, and that's why it looks weird, because it's a construct, yeah, and that might be why he's also seeing his wife, because maybe there's a copy of his wife in there, or maybe the construct's not working quite right, and you can see that. Yeah, so it's like we're using these people to process things, and that's the bit, is the work that they're carrying out seems to have no value. Yeah, and part of me thinks that maybe it's a satirical sneer at office jobs, if that makes any sense. Yeah, where it could just be some Hollywood bell end thinking it's clever to sneer at people who work in offices and they do pointless stuff with Excel spreadsheets. Yeah, and I think there's a chance that that's something there. My brother talked about it's like a heaven and hell thing, and I'm like, I'm not seeing it. There's not enough there. Especially now you can see the board and bits that are going on there. But the question is what are they doing while they're severed? Is the Severance thing working the way that we think it's working? Yeah, because it's like a suppressed personality in there. Because think about it, it's like kind of, it's not. I think they come out and they're exactly the same as they went in. Yeah, and that's the bit that gets me. Yeah, it's no. Tries to put post-it notes and everything, and it's not the same. So they can have this thing about not sending stuff on the outside, but I think if you stole a pen and you walked out the door, it wouldn't go with you. But they're worried that you may take it as a memory with you, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm just speculating. I've got more theories on From than I have Severance. I'll be frank with you.
I think something happens to them in the lift that you don't see.
Yeah.
And I think something's happening there. Your idea of a construct could be a good one. There's something going on.
Yeah.
And what they're working on, it could be cloning. It could be. You could be right. They talked about a project. They named the project this week. I'm just debating whether I continue to watch single episodes or just binge it when it's finished. But I don't know at the moment. I'll probably watch a single episode next week because there's not a lot around at the moment.
Yeah. Well, we've still got we've got Daredevil in March to watch. That'll be good.
Yes.
I don't know if they'll do that weekly. My money says they're going to do it weekly because it keeps people on Disney Plus. So, there's a lot there. There is a lot there, and it's there's some bits going on, especially with the lady in charge of it. So she knows, and she's working down there too. So I imagined that there has probably been some bad news in the press. His brother-in-law, Marquez's brother-in-law, has been writing books about this. And, there's probably, as I said, you saw that there's some social stigma attached to the idea of being severed. But the question is what is it exactly? And I think that they play on that enough, but give you enough stuff to do it. So there's a bit of balancing in there. It does feel like it's eking it out a bit too much, considering we've had to wait 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years for a follow-up, and it's but it's enjoyable. Doesn't seem very woke, I'll be honest with you. Hasn't got any of that shitty politics in that we've got, and it's interesting. And Ben Stiller's baby. That just makes me I'm waiting for some comedy. Milchick is I do find him, he's the equivalent of do you ever watch what was it, The Peep Show? And I can't remember the actor's name, is black fella, and he plays the boss. And when he deals with, I can't think the character might be Mark or Steve in it. And when he deals with him, there's this weird, creepy sexual undertone to the conversations in it.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that vibe of Milchick, even though it's not there. And I think I blame that actor for doing such a good job in The Peep Show.
I think he's going to turn out to be a good guy. I just have this feeling. The twist is that he's actually a good guy. But that weird new young girl that's just fucking freaky.
See, this is my what do you call it? This is my thing where I think that it may be a satire at working in an office, because you get that in office. You get some fuckwit who gets promoted, and everyone goes, "Why? Why did they get the fucking position?" I've never been. I've seen it several times in my life where you're just like, kind of, the dude's clearly incompetent. Why did you give them the job? Yeah. And it's one of those things. It's like, kind of, I know, and I've seen people who have left because they've given it to someone who's clearly incompetent. You can like the people, which is the annoying thing, knowing that they can't do the job, which is the worst thing. But it's one of those things. It's It's interesting. I think there's a risk that this is a satire on office working. I think there's a risk of that. But yeah, Cold Harbor. This sounds very Manhattan Project sounding, like Cold Fusion or something along those lines. Or maybe it's a way of severing people without putting a chip in their head. Yeah. Maybe that's the issue that the people have got, is that you have to actually have this fucking thing implanted in surgery, and people don't like the idea of surgery. And the idea is that you give it to everyone, for every working thing across the world, so everyone's severed. Yeah, and then at the same time you can then use that for things like censorship and mind control and all that weird stuff. Don't know. Be interesting finding out. I hope we get answers. Can I talk about From? Because we're talking about theories and stuff.
I thought we were talking about Silo.
We'll talk about Silo, but I want to talk about From before we talk about Silo, because I watched the entire third season of Silo, and I'm a bit worried that it's kind of slowing down. So just to recap what From is, From, there's a town, everyone gets trapped in there. These creatures come out late at night, they hunt them, they torment these people, but they have these totems that stop them from coming in, which one of the characters, a character called Boyd, found in the woods one day when he was just doing a bit of exploration to try and find food and resources and whatnot. Gets back to the town, and certain things have happened. So in the previous season, there's a family that came in. A guy's a roller coaster designer. He's got his wife, his 2 children. They went on a road trip after their son had died, and his wife had started digging in the basement because he wanted to find out where the power for the lights was coming from, because it didn't make any sense because there's no copper cables in there. And everyone's trying to figure out what this place is and where it's come from. She got pushed out of a lighthouse at the end of the second series and then woke up in the real world. So she woke up in the real world in a place called Maine, which is ironic because Maine is I think it's the setting for pretty much every Stephen King story ever. So when they picked Maine, and Maine ironically is near Nova Scotia, where they film, well, I say near, within like 400 miles near. When you look at it on a globe, it looks near, all right? Just on a globe, okay? Real life, a bit more. But she wound up in Maine in a hospital and whatnot, and she managed to come across one of the denizens' father. There's a character called Victor. Victor has been there since he was a child. He's about 40, 50 odd. He's very peculiar because he's spent his life evading these fucking creatures, not being eaten and whatnot. He knows a lot more than he's letting on. He's autistic in his way, that he is severely autistic in his communications. So it's a bit difficult getting anything out of him. And the woman gets out and she starts searching around, and she gets this little boy is like pointing at things. And then eventually she finds Victor's father, and she's got Victor's lunchbox, which the father sees, and then he realizes, she thinks she's crazy, this, that and the other. Takes downstairs to see his wife's paintings, and they're bits that are all over the town, and she's like, crap. Anyway, he says there's a bottle tree, which is one of the weird things in the Fromville area. And they go to drive there. They get hit by another car, and they're in an ambulance. And if you know how everyone enters from, they drive across the road, drive down the road, and they come across a fallen tree. And the ambulance is driving down the road, and they come across a fallen tree. And then fun ensues when the ambulance crew come across the creatures of the night, which I'm going to call Wendigos because they fit the definition of Wendigo from the game Until Dawn. And they look like the things from Until Dawn 2. And they prey on isolation and fear and desperation, and they like eating internal organs, and they only ever come out at night. And it ticks a lot of boxes. There's certain boxes like the totem, which doesn't think is from the Algonquin Indians. So it kind of does that. So I watched that. The wife came back. That was kind of like an interesting thing. And now there was a whole storyline which really pissed me off. Imagine this, yeah? The sheriff turns around and goes, we need to catch one of these things, yeah? So we can, figure out how to beat it, yeah? Never goes anywhere. Pissed me right off. Really pissed me right off. It was like kind of, we need to catch it. Okay, next week they're going to catch one of these things, or figure out, set a trap, and put a big lump of cheese in there. Didn't go anywhere. Annoyed the crap out of me because it was such a dead storyline. And if you know anything about it, I always describe the Fromville area, the area that this little kind of rent in space time that they're occupying. I call it a vivarium because if you look up vivariums online, or like things online, you always get a picture of a branch in a vivarium, like the branch in the road. So I always use that term. And when the wife was digging under the building, found that it's all facade. There's nothing there that's properly there. And with the whole the whole kind of setup of it, it feels like it's a tank where these people are food for this beast thing, yeah, because you get this one in, one out thing, yeah. Someone dies, someone then turns up, yeah. They had this in the first series. They had a massacre at this place called Colony House. Loads of people get turned. Yeah? A bus full of people get killed. Guess what happens? A bus full of people turn up, yeah. So they get replaced. So it looks like that, and then it's like Boyd, who's the town sheriff, is the one that's kind of trying to run everything. He's out there and he's finding like goats and cows and stuff, just wandering around the what do you call it, the forest and bits, and he's kind of bringing them back. And eventually they try to they keep trying to find this lighthouse, and they keep trying to go for like exploring and whatnot. They find that the food is dying off. Yeah, sorry, just to recap, Boyd managed to kill one of these creatures at the end of the second season. That'll pay attention later. And I've essentially killed that. All the food that they've been doing just started to rot. Yeah, so all the food that are growing all rotten. So everyone's terrified that we're going to starve to death in the village. And one of the villagers says that she's pregnant, and it's like, oh dear, yeah. And she starts eating the rotten food, and the only thing that kind of stops her from being sick and can actually make her feel, sated in regards to eating. She's doing that, and as they're doing that, and this is why I used the term vivarium, that I think it's the dad goes out to this area to explore, to find his wife who's gone missing, and finds a shit ton of food just growing there, all fine, which makes me think, when you put food in for the animals to feed, gives me that kind of impression. And he gets the food, takes it back and says, look, we need to do trips out of it so we can get the food and replenish food so we don't all starve to death. And they're like, oh yeah, fantastic. And then that happens. The wife then returns with the whole thing, which is fantastic. Yeah. And then there's Steve's right. There's the calf with the music that plays every so often. And it seems to be taunting people. So in my head, Fromville has this big kind of like vivarium where all these people are kept as food for this thing, and there's something in there dropping the food in and doing things. Now, at the end of the first series, they tried to make a radio tower to get a signal out. And while that was happening, his wife was digging a hole in the basement to try and figure out where the wires are going. So the guys on the radio, and they're trying to get signal, and they get signal because they put it on the highest point they can. And he's chatting away, and he just hears his voice over. He goes, Jim, is that you? And he's like, yeah. Tell your wife to stop digging in the basement. And it's like, oh, fuck, yeah? Anyway, you get towards the end, and I always had the feeling that someone was in charge. There's a lot more to it than what I'm saying, but someone in charge. And we got to the end of it, and it's literally the last scene in it, where you finally get to see what I believe, I'm hoping is the person in charge. I don't want it to be a fucking cork or a butt plug in the world like Lost, yeah? Because that's my deep concern with this TV series. It'll turn into Lost. This guy in like a yellow suit looking kind of disheveled and a bit death-like, who was also in one of the paintings that the woman saw in the basement.
The same actor in From that was in Lost.
Is it? Oh yeah, no, the Boyd character. He's a good actor. I like him, and I found out something mad about him, and I'll tell you that in a moment. And this guy in yellow, and the guy in yellow turns up, and it almost sounds like the same voice that's on the radio. I rewatched the episode just to check, yeah. And it goes, I told your wife not to dig in that basement, and this, that, and the other. And then he kills Jim, who's like the family that originally arrives. Kills Jim, and you look like you know who the person who is in charge. There's some other bits with decoding a load of messages in the tree to find out that it's not a message, it's musical notes to try and help them remember. There's this thing with these invisible children where it looks like the creatures made a deal with, I think, the man in yellow to live forever by killing their children off, but one got away. And because that one got away, they're desperate to do it, to complete it, because they got this weird, they have their weird, like, Wendigo half-life kind of existence and whatnot. But I really enjoyed it. I binged the whole thing. It was great because it was just like kind of, I thought I was going to have to watch it one episode a week, and I turned it on and it was just no, it was a lot. So I watched a lot, and then I'll get my wife to watch the rest, and she's always like, "Have you locked the door in the night?" Make sure you lock the door, because those things are creepy as fuck. But that's the top end, because you haven't seen it. It's a little difficult to talk about.
No,
But
I've seen season one.
I enjoyed it.
I haven't watched
you've seen
season
one.
two. Yeah, I know
okay.
what you're talking about.
Oh, good.
It's got a season 4.
Yeah, season 4, but which films in 2026.
Really?
Yeah, I read it online. It was like films in 2026. So, maybe films early 2026, and then we get it late 2026, rather than the beginning of 2026, like we had everything else. But I think there's something up with the shooting on it. Anyway, the guy who plays Boyd is Harold something, and I can't remember his full name. And I looked at him, and he looks roughly, I would describe him as looking roughly my age, yeah? Do you know how old he is?
He's in his 50s. He's in his 60s.
61.
Shit.
I'm like, fuck off. And then the funny thing is, the guy who plays Victor is like 7 years younger than him, and he looks fucking older than him.
This is
which
true.
is mad. Sorry, I have to let you in a horrible game, but me and my wife play, and we play is the actor older or younger than us? So we watch a TV series and we ask the question, is the actor older or younger than us? Yeah, and I think if it's 3 years either way, we give it a pass, but anything else, we just go, oh shit, they're really younger than us, or oh my god, they look so much better for the age, etc. Yeah, it's really good.
Don't play that game.
We do it all the time. It's so annoying. It really is so annoying. So, anyway, now I've managed to vent my spleen in regards to the TV series From. Let's talk about the last episode. We can talk about the Silo. The last episode is probably where all the really good stuff happens. Well, so I'll let you lead on this one, and you can build up to the last episode, and we'll go for it.
It differs from the book. The judge character doesn't exist. Lucas Kyle is the is like the shadow, and knows that Juliet's alive because they start talking to each other on the servers. The kids do exist, but at first you think it's an artificial intelligence. And I've heard all these people saying artificial intelligence, right? Oh, it's an artificial intelligence because it sounded like an artificial intelligence talking when Lucas discovers a tunnel, which does not happen in the book, right? Lucas does not know what the what do they call it? The failsafe. Yeah. Right? Have you figured out? Do you know what the failsafe is?
Do gas them.
Oh, it's more than that.
Okay.
It's not just a failsafe. There is. Do you know what the final sort of why the failsafe exists? Not just because of the thing, right? Do you?
Oh, because they're trying to breed passive humans that they can put back into the world.
It's not just that. But why would Lucas quit? Why would Lucas quit? And then why would the mayor go outside? Have you figured that bit out yet? And it's not just because somebody can trigger a failsafe. That's not going to drive you loopy. You're going to want to not have something that they can kill you. So what do you know? Have you figured that out yet? I know what it is.
It's the engineered part. Maybe it's the engineered particles. Tell me.
Do you want me to tell you? Right.
Go on and tell me.
Right. What Lucas tells the mayor is that only one of the silos can survive. That's why Lucas loses his shit. And that's the true meaning. So 50 silos, only one will survive.
Okay.
And that tunnel is what takes you to the place that they've set up where all this is. Because here's the next pit, right? It's a bubble around the silos. The rest of the world is fine. And it's nanites that causes you to go like that. It's not a gas.
Right, they call it engineered particles in the.
But here's the thing, right? The voice, where they go in and they go, I want to save the silo, and the voice sounds a bit more human. It's the dude that you see at the end. It's the senator.
He's the architect.
And here's the thing, right? That scene is the beginning of the second book, right? Although it's slightly different. Helen is his wife, right? Not a journalist. And he's going to meet the daughter of another senator to talk about designing a silo. He's the designer of the silos. He's the engineer. But that was really cool. I thought we were going to see Silo 1. I was a bit surprised. The minute it showed Washington, D.C., I was like, oh, I know what we're getting. But the fact that they've cast, what's-her-face, Hardwick. What? Can't help it. She's hot. And she's English. She's got the accent, mate. It's the accent. It works. I think it's interesting. I don't know what they're now going to do with her. But the dude on the voice that asks the wife to stay is, although you don't know his name in the show, he's called Donald. That was him as the voice over. Now, I have read, because by rights the next season should be entirely flashback. That is not what they're going to do. So they are now going to combine the third book with the second book over the next 2 seasons. Because we've got 2 seasons left and 2 books to cover.
Okay.
Right? So, and actually you don't need to go full on flashbacks all the time. Although I predict that the first episode will be entirely flashbacked. But they're saying, I've read, the people that are making it have said that they're not going to do an entire season of flashbacks like the book. Because where it ends is nearly where the first book ends. Not quite.
Okay.
It ends after Juliet returns. And Juliet becomes the mayor.
And then a lot of people die, and she tries to escape right down the bottom. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Because what kind of... Although they go to the seed. But, I mean, I think they're turning Helen into a different character. Because Helen dies very soon on in the flashbacks. And the fact that they've cast, what's-her-face, Hardwick, as a guy, she's going to be a main character.
Yeah. She's the one that's going to be the contact in Silo 1, who's awake.
Well, there's the daughter of the senator who devises this entire plan. So interesting to see who they're going to cast as him. I thought we were going to get a glimpse of Silo 1 and we didn't. I didn't predict it. The fact that they ended it on a... I thought it was clever that they ended it on a cliffhanger of you don't know what happens with Juliet and Bernard.
Oh, God, yeah.
You see, I think Tim Robbins has been so good. Although spoiler, in the book he dies. I don't think he dies. I'm almost hoping he doesn't. Because I think Tim Robbins has just been fucking brilliant. And it has differed from the book in quite a few ways. So, but the voice, it's not an AI. It's not an AI. And that voice was, me, I want to save the silo, and the voice goes, me too. And that voice sounded human, and it is the guy that you see in the senator who has a degree in engineering.
Yeah, because I got a few things. I read an interview with, I can't remember the guy who wrote it, because he says he's going to write more Silo books. And one of the things that was interesting is that Silo 40 managed to take itself offline along with the neighbouring silos. So it wasn't engineering that turned, because in most of the silos it's engineering that turned because they see problems and this, that and the other. The guys from IT turned, and they figured out how to disconnect the whole thing, but they also managed to do it for all the neighbouring things. And they've got this little kind of enclave, and he says there's stories there to be told. It's interesting. I'm not joking. There was half a season's worth of content in the season.
Yeah, because it's one book. They've split one book over two seasons, and I've been critical of it. I think we could have. You got the first 2/3 of the book in the season 1, so it's the last third of a book that they've really spread out over an entire season just to get to that cliffhanger at the end, and I don't think it worked. But I genuinely, because this didn't happen in the book, I loved the twist with the engineering girl that you thought was, had turned. And, I was suspecting early on in the sort of final episode, hang on. He knows. She's admitted off camera. He must know.
It's, what do you call it? I love that, because that was almost like Belter sign language from The Expanse.
Yes. And
Which I find quite interesting.
I loved that twist. And I loved that it went from Bernard being a bit of a prick and laughing to realizing, oh shit, I'm fucked. And that again was brilliant. I loved those final moments with Solo and Juliet. They were really, really good. I genuinely felt emotion when Juliet's father sacrificed himself. Genuinely had, I thought that was great. The final episode was fantastic. The final episode was really good. And it does set up the thing. Look, this differs from the books, right? There are elements that they're keeping. So that if they keep the element, the tunnel leads to the seed, right? And the seed is where where these survivors will repopulate the Earth, right? But Silo 40 is already there. So you're right about this. I think I know why IT revolted, because they found out the truth, and just like Bernard went outside. Now, just because the failsafe protocol is gas, which it is, there is also the bigger thing, and I think that's what Lucas found out, and that's what Lucas told Bernard, was that only one silo can survive, and that type of thing is going to send you over the nuts. So you do all your best, right? You do everything you think you're going to survive, and they're still going to fucking kill you. That would send anybody fucking nuts, right? And that's exactly, I think, what Lucas found out, who then told Thingy, and I think that's what. Because he doesn't know that in the book. Yeah. But I think that's what was told.
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be the fact that bacon exists and you're never going to taste it. That's what I thought it was. Because that would be the worst thing to... If you ever tasted bacon, sorry. I'm a little annoyed because it dragged. It really fucking dragged. And the scenes in the dark, couldn't see fuck all. Yeah, it was Game of Thrones last season when they're fighting the White Walkers and you can see jack shit. It's like, oh, you need a TV. It got a TV with all the fucking gubbins on it. No, it didn't. It was shit. I'm sorry. I was actually tempted to drive there to the studio and with a picket sign out there, go sort the fucking lighting out on the dark scenes and the silo.
But it's got to properly speed up now, right? Because we still haven't covered everything in the first book. So, we got to see Juliet return. Lucas and Juliet kind of strike up a relationship, her become mayor, and then her to start exploring things, and then meanwhile we've got to have the whole prequel of why the silos exist in the first place. That's going to take up a whole season, right? So the final book is going to be the final season. So it's they're going to have to speed it up, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay,
but we know it's got 2 more seasons, which is good. It's good that we can invest in the show because we know it's going to get a final. That I'll give Apple their TV their dues. Oh, and by the way, who was it that was right? You know the guy just on because it just reminded me talking about Apple TV. Nate the Great.
Nate the Great
in Ted
Lasso.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah, he has confirmed that he has had to cancel 2 of his stage shows because he is filming something that he can't talk about.
Good. I hope it's just a special about them getting the European Championship. If it's
full season 4.
Ah,
it's good. Okay. It is a season 4. Although apparently what's his face is involved, but I think he will just make a cameo. Look, I could do I could have a season of Roy Kent in charge. I think Roy Kent's going to be brilliant. And somebody posted on our like company board the other day. They were doing something. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. And I just put a picture of Roy Kent. Like, some people got it. He's here. He's there. He's every fucking where. Roy Kent. I still love that. I've watched it a couple of times and I still love it. So we need another season. And we're getting another season of Shrinking, which is great because Shrinking season 2, same people, really great. And fuck me, I never thought that Harrison Ford could make me fucking get all emotional, and he did.
Apart from the bit where he gets killed in Force Awakens.
As I said, all they have to do is get rid of 7, 8, and 9. That's all they have to do. Star Wars, but they won't. They won't. But there is hope. There is hope. I'm not getting caught up in all the other stuff, but there is a change. There's an east wind blowing, my friend. Or is it there's a wind coming from the east? There is change afoot. So, yes. Anyway, with that.
Echo. Hello, Echo. I'll talk to you. Hopefully, we'll play later. So, let's sign off. So, first things first. Biffa wins a comment with this one here. Keith's bathroom problems. Thank you for boldly going where no one wants to go. Andy got first. So, he was in here first and got the best comment, which is fantastic. I have to say hello to the missus. It's legal.
He wants to sleep in his own bedroom tonight.
Chuck, I'm going to finish watching your Bear documentary, which you won your award for. I don't know when your next live thing is to find out about the Funko Pops that you guys put together, which is cool. Laurie, if you can hear this, or Chuck, if you can hear this, tell Laurie happy birthday from us both and everyone in the chat. And then there is Steve. Hi, Steve. We didn't say hi.
Be a stupid gamer. Watch back, because we talk about you. Watch back a little bit. About 20 minutes ago. Watch.
Yes. And then, oh, look. So Echo says hi. And guess who just turned up as we're leaving? So, I will be playing on Be a Stupid Gamer's Twitch channel later if you want to watch. If we're still playing, I don't know, maybe we're not. And hopefully you're just going to hear me swear and just cock things up because we're playing 2 horror games, which will be fantastic.
Oh,
and
double fuck!
Yes. Yeah, double fuck. But it will be with people, so I'm gonna try and be witty and entertaining, which is me being crap. I'll be honest with you. Lots of dad jokes, basically. So yeah, Be a Stupid Gamers on Twitch if you want to watch that. We will appreciate the thingies. Also, there's Echo too, and you can go and see her and join her Twitch. She's a bit more professional than Be a Stupid Gamer, so I feel safer on Be a Stupid Gamer's channel than I do on Echo's channel because she's more of a proper streamer where Be a Stupid Gamers fuck around like I am, which kind of fits my mentality. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining. Keith's going to bed.
It's midnight here. See you later, guys. See you next week.
Say something witty, Keith. Come on, quickly.
Yeah, last action hero next week. Not.
All right. I'm sorry I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance. Okay. See you, Steve. Bye-bye.